Good morning from the city of Exeter here in Devon, and today you join me for a journey on what is probably Britain's most famous diesel train, and that is of course the HST or the InterCity 125, whichever name you call them. Since that introduction back in the 1970s, they've really become synonymous with the modern UK rail network, and obviously their days are now numbered. There are two strongholds remaining, one up in Scotland with the InterCity routes, and then the other being down here in Devon and Cornwall with GWR's Castle Class sets. And when I heard that they were finally retiring them in December 2025, which is only a month and a half away, I took the opportunity, came down to Exeter early this morning to ride on them down to Plymouth, which is about an hour and 10 minutes. So this will obviously probably be my last chance to ride them. As you may be able to tell, I'm not actually at a railway station yet. I'm in the remains of Exeter's castle. So I'm going to head down to Exeter Central Railway Station, which is the nearest one to me. We can take a train up to St David's, and then we can board the HST for today's journey. Built shortly after the Norman conquest of England in the 11th century, Exeter Castle lies at the heart of the historic cathedral city, which has since become a centre for education, business and tourism in the southwest. The city itself has three main railway stations, and as just mentioned, I was making my way into Exeter Central, which, despite being much smaller than the major interchange of St David's, is surprisingly the busiest station in the city, with an annual usage of 2.9 million passengers. Built by the London and South Western Railway in 1860 on their line from London Waterloo to Plymouth, Exeter Central still sees regular services to the capital from South Western Railway via Salisbury, as well as various other local and regional services from GWR. So having had a short wait on the platform, I jumped on board the next service to take me the 3 minutes down the steep gradient to St David's. Whilst no longer the busiest station in the city, Exeter St David's is still a major rail interchange, seeing services from cross-country on their principal Scotland and Northern England to South West route, as well as frequent trains to London from both GWR and SWR, and various local services to destinations such as Exmouth, Paignton, Barnstaple and finally Oakhampton, which was recently reopened in 2021, having closed back in 1972. Well, I've now arrived at a very rainy Exeter St David's, and the HST is behind me there on platform 6, ready to take us down to Plymouth. So we'll have a look around the set, a bit more history about these incredible locomotives, and then we can jump on board and get this journey underway. Built by British Rail Engineering Limited from 1975 to 1982 and in continuous service in the UK since 1976, the iconic Class 43 HST is undoubtedly one of the most revolutionary locomotives of the UK's rail history. Having been introduced to replace an ageing fleet of loco-hauled stock, the HSTs instantly changed rail travel, being capable of a top service speed of 125 miles per hour, and their Mark III coaches offering a new level of comfort across the InterCity network. Initially entering service on the BR Western region, GWR replaced the majority of their HST fleet with the Class 800 and 802 IETs in 2019, retaining 24 power cars to form 11 four-carriage formations known as Castle Class sets for use between Cardiff and Penzance. Since then, the Castle fleet has slowly been withdrawn, with the remaining 12 power cars relegated to use on stopping services in Devon and Cornwall, a fitting end to HST operation in England. So with that, I headed down the platform to board the 11:27 service bound for Penzance, one of just 3 diagrams left in service and the only one to reach as far as Exeter. Once on board, I entered the first of the train's 4 carriages, each arranged in the standard 2+2 configuration. And having chosen a seat in an airline-style pair, now's a good moment to take a closer look at the design and comfort of the seats themselves. Overall, I found them to be extremely comfortable, featuring good levels of padding, a winged headrest finished in leather, fold-down armrests, a sturdy tray table, and a little GWR emblem engraved on the back of each seat, as well as plenty of space for luggage near the vestibules at either end of the carriage. Safe to say, I found them much more comfortable than the current seats on their replacement IETs. And bang on time, our shortened HST sets began to power out of Exeter St David's, giving us a chance to have a quick look at today's route down to the port city of Plymouth. Leaving behind the county town of Devon, we immediately begin by heading in a southeasterly direction as we run alongside the Exeter and the Devon coastline. Swinging inland for a brief stop at Newton Abbot, our service continues to skirt the edge of Dartmoor with further calls at Totnes and Ivybridge as we begin to reach the suburbs of the city. Scheduled journey time to cover this relatively short 52-mile route is 1 hour and 6 minutes, giving our Castle Class an average speed of 47 miles per hour. Shortly after leaving Exeter behind, we soon reach what will be today's top speed of 100 miles per hour. Although of course capable of 125 miles per hour in service, due to the winding nature of the line between Exeter and Penzance with its steep gradients, sharp curves and infrastructure limitations, this short section of the South Devon main line is today's only opportunity for some proper high-speed running. As a result, in almost no time at all, we reach the banks of the Exeter, which begins just to the south of Exeter itself and extends for around 8 miles to meet the English Channel. Parallel to us at this point is the 11-mile-long Avocet line, which runs down the eastern bank of the estuary from Topsham to the popular seaside resort of Exmouth. Fittingly, we soon speed past Starcross, which, as well as being the site of one of Brunel's failed atmospheric railway pumping stations, is also home to a small passenger ferry running across the mouth of the estuary to Exmouth, seen here. Passing Dawlish Warren, our Castle Class HST soon reaches what is one of the best loved sections of line in England, the South Devon Railway sea wall. Following approximately 4 miles of open sea between Dawlish and Teignmouth, this iconic section of the Riviera line, which runs from Exeter to Paignton, was built by legendary engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel in 1846, before amalgamation into the wider GWR network in 1876. Since its completion, the railway has become infamous for its vulnerability to storm damage, most notably in February 2014, when, amid high winds and extremely rough seas, a 40-metre long section of the seawall at Dawlish was completely washed away, closing the railway into Devon and Cornwall for almost 2 months. As a result of this, Network Rail set up the South West Rail Resilience Programme, involving the raising of the seawall by 2.5 metres and the installation of a 109-metre long rockfall shelter seen here, with over £165 million spent on this work as of 2025. Not long later, we pull into Teignmouth Station, opened with the rest of the line in 1846. Having originally been built to Brunel's preferred broad gauge of 7 foot, the South Devon Railway was subsequently converted to 4 foot 8.5 inch standard gauge in 1892, with the station rebuilt soon after as a result of this. Almost immediately after leaving the station, we emerged behind Teignmouth Harbour before following the path of the river inland towards our third intermediate stop at Newton Abbot. The station here, as well as being a primary calling point on GWR Express services to Paddington, also acts as a junction with the branch line down to Paignton and subsequently Kingswear and Dartmouth via the steam railway and passenger ferry, something I'd definitely like to come back and do in the future.
We are now approaching Totnes. Please mind the step down from the train to the platform. Change here for the bus link towards Kingsbridge and Falcon and for buses to other destinations. Totnes.
Do not try to board or leave the train when the doors are.
With the rain soon making another appearance as we depart Totnes, now's a good point in the journey to talk a bit more about the GWR Castle Class Replacement Programme. As mentioned earlier, as of December 2025, GWR are operating just 3 diagrams from Monday to Saturday with their HST sets, shown on screen here. set to replace them are recommissioned Class 175 multiple units, which previously worked with Transport for Wales before being displaced by the newer Class 197s. As a result of this move, GWR will be able to redeploy IETs currently working the Cardiff to Plymouth routes to mainline duties, whilst also cascading DMUs from Cornwall and Devon onto other regional routes such as those between Cardiff and Portsmouth and Bristol and Weymouth. Overall, whilst it is of course sad to see such an iconic train finally retire from mainline working, this internal shift in rolling stock allocation should mean an increase in passenger comfort across GWR's regional network, something I definitely welcome, having made the rather uncomfortable journey between Cardiff and Portsmouth Harbour not too long ago. And briefly running alongside the River Plym on the outskirts of the city, our journey begins to draw to a close as we make our final run into Plymouth Station. From their groundbreaking introduction in the 1970s to their incredible longevity today, the HSTs have shaped long-distance travel for generations, and here in the West Country, where they first entered service all those years ago, they're now making their final stand on the English network. So having alighted, I made my way up the platform to enjoy one final departure before concluding today's vlog. And with my HST set having departed behind me on its way down to Cornwall and Penzance, that concludes today's vlog and probably my last opportunity to ride a HST set in England, which really concludes the end of an era, the InterCity British Railway era on the UK rail network, with the introduction of the HST replacements behind me, the IETs, and of course GWR's Class 175s, which they're taking from Transport for Wales, which will replace the Castle Class sets. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you for my next adventure.